when Kenny's done playing in the minor leagues over there, Kenny can come and work at the absolute top professional wrestling company in the world in front of the most people and make the most money and have the biggest matches, which is with me at WrestleMania. Thank you.
When AEW arrived on the scene in 2019, it changed everything for the WWE. Not since WCW in the late 1990s did they have a legitimate competition, and AEW on the surface was certainly exactly that. Since AEW's inception, AEW has managed to act as a rival promotion to WWE, and some fans see a huge divide between the WWE fanbase and the AEW fanbase. AEW, similarly to WCW, has become home to a lot of ex-WWE talent with names such as Chris Jericho, Miro, Shawn Spears, Matt Hardy, Christian, and more recently Mark Henry, all signing for the new promotion. Whereas AEW have directly mentioned WWE a number of times, both in media calls and on AEW TV, WWE have been more reserved in name-dropping AEW, so much so that they've only mentioned AEW a number of times. So with that being said, let's take a look at 7 times that WWE mentioned AEW. Number 7, WWE's Instagram uploads a clip from Nia Jax versus Britt Baker. On May 29th, 2021, WWE sent the internet into a meltdown when they decided to upload a clip of Nia Jax squashing Britt Baker onto their Instagram page. AEW fans believe that this was WWE taking a shot at AEW, as Baker was set to wrestle for the AEW Women's title the same weekend, and AEW fans believe that this was WWE trying to take away Britt Baker's spotlight. For some context, the match in question was for Nia Jax's debut match on the main roster, and this is a clip of what was used to market and promote Nia since 2016. Additionally, it was her birthday, so the clip didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It might have been simply a matter of coincidence, but this does count as AEW being mentioned by WWE. Number 6, WWE Untold. The day following AEW's first official pay-per-view Double or Nothing in 2019, WWE would send an email to their WWE Network subscribers announcing a special episode of WWE Untold. The title of the episode was The Failed Relaunch of WCW. WCW was notably WWE's largest competition, and AEW was the first company to remotely rival WWE since that time period. Some fans believed that this was a direct dig at AEW, especially with AEW having a lot of ex-WWE talent, which is one of the criticism towards WCW during the 1990s. Although it could be a matter of coincidence, it does seem extremely strange that this did occur. There could be more to WWE's email marketing campaign than meets the eye. Number 5, MVP implies that MJF stole his look. MVP was one of the biggest difference makers to WWE programming throughout 2020. After making his return at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, MVP would begin to manage Bobby Lashley, and not before long, he would form the acclaimed stable known as the Hurt Business. However, in September of the same year, MVP seemed to upset a lot of AEW fans on Instagram by implying that AEW superstar MJF had copied his look. In the aforementioned Instagram post, MVP posted a video clip of him wearing Burberry, similar to how MJF wears it in AEW. MVP would even state that his attitude has been rebooted in AEW. Although the comments are without question just a bit of fun, MVP did manage to upset and trigger a lot of AEW fans, which in all likelihood was the sole intention of this post. Number 4, Blood and Guts. In July of 2019, during a stockholders conference call, WWE Chairman Vince McMahon would directly refer to AEW when discussing how the WWE product is going to evolve. McMahon would infamously state, "We're going to be a bit edgier, but will remain in the PG environment. We're not going back to the Attitude Era. Blood and Guts, something you might see with a new competitor." Naturally, this sent AEW fans as well as AEW management into a frenzy, and it wasn't long before AEW executive Cody Rhodes responded. Rhodes would state, "Recently, there were some very public comments made about us where we were referred to as Blood and Guts. Blood and Guts. and it was said with such a braggart candor that you would think that the person saying it felt that they were bulletproof. But I wonder, before they said it, if they tasted their own words before they spit them out, because the entirety of our business is built on blood and guts. Every man or woman who ever stepped foot in the ring, regardless of race, color, creed, political affiliation, has felt the blood and guts and passion, because if we don't care, they don't care. So if you say we're blood and guts, I say you bet your ass that we are blood and guts. AEW would go one step further and would actually brand a match based on McMahon's comments. The Blood and Guts match would make its official debut in 2021 in a match that featured the Inner Circle taking on the Pinnacle. Number 3, Drew McIntyre mentions the AEW Explosion botch. AEW's exploding barbed wire death match was one of the biggest botches in the short yet decorated history of AEW. The finish of the match between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley was supposed to involve the ring exploding, however the pyro malfunctioned and it looked visually unimpressive. This received a lot of criticism from fans who stated that AEW shouldn't have marketed or promised something of this nature only to fail in delivering it, especially in the pay-per-view main event match. WWE would actually take a small yet smart jab at AEW for the botch during an in-ring promo between Drew McIntyre, MVP, and Bobby Lashley on Raw. In the promo, McIntyre would state, "I noticed that MVP made some guarantees tonight. That's such a dangerous thing to do in the industry. If you make a guarantee and don't deliver, fans get upset and sparks fly." Although this was clearly a shot at AEW, according to McIntyre himself, it wasn't intended to be a shot at AEW in any capacity. Speaking to Forbes, the former WWE champion would reveal,
"So you actually got people talking with a line you had last night. You said, if you make a guarantee and don't deliver, fans get upset, sparks fly." That wasn't directed at anybody in particular, was it, Drew?
I saw people saying that last night and tagging me on it. Like, my big thing was I saw MVP. Literally, I made a joke about not showering and whatever and watching the show, and I was watching the show, and like everyone seems to think, like, oh, writers are going to put all this together. They don't. Like, Drew McIntyre's out there. I've got an idea what I'm going to say, and I kind of say how I feel. And I saw him saying the guarantee thing, and I thought to myself, everyone always says guarantee, and like when you say guarantee, you really got to back up that. You've got to deliver on your guarantees. And what can I say out there that I can guarantee? Well, Sheamus and I are literally going to beat the absolute hell out of each other. It's going to hurt. I might as well just tell the truth. And I went out there, I said that, and I said sparks fly come out my mouth. I didn't think twice about it. I just rolled right through it. I said my whole interview and watched the match from ringside, which was an awesome match. And I came back and like somebody came up to me and said, "I saw what you did there. What did I do?" And then they laid it out to me. I went, "Oh, yeah, that could be taken that way." My big thing was just saying don't guarantee something you can't deliver. But yeah, maybe subconsciously I made a joke.
Sure. Okay. So this wasn't a veiled reference or a veiled shot at all. It's just some words that came out of your mouth that just happened to reference that.
No, I don't like that shot back and forth stuff. I don't see the point. It's not good for business. But if people want to take that and run with it and make some headlines out of it, go ahead.
Number 2, Sami Zayn directly mentions AEW. On the Raw following Double or Nothing in 2019, a segment would take place which would feature Sami Zayn taking questions from the fans in attendance. In the segment, Sami would name drop AEW by saying to the live, AEW had officially been mentioned on WWE programming, and it was shocking to say the least. There was some debate following the incident on if Sami went off script, as it seemed very unusual for Vince McMahon to allow a rival company to be mentioned on his flagship show. According to Sami Zayn, the reaction was less than favorable, and he would reveal,
when you dropped those dreaded 3 letters on live TV, was that entirely off the cuff, and what was that reaction like when it was all said and done?
So it wasn't okay. So it wasn't entirely off the cuff, but it was off the cuff to a certain degree, and the reaction was, let's say, unfavorable. since the electric chair met its demise that very same week. But because the thing about that, the time when that segment happened, you have to remember I think it was the first episode of Raw. Was it the next night after they had their first pay-per-view?
Yeah, I think
2 nights later.
Yeah, it was
either the next night or 2 nights later. So
it was Saturday. So it was like 2 days later. Yeah.
Right. So it was right on everybody's mind. It was super, super fresh. And I think they had just announced this TV deal. They had just announced that this wasn't just going to be a pay-per-view. This is going to be a competitor and all this sort of stuff. So, and they tell me that we're doing this segment where it's legitimately unplanned questions and anybody could ask anything. So at the time, this was the number one topic in the wrestling world. So you kind of expected to be asked about it.
Right.
So
yeah.
I kind of, there was an idea or an understanding that if something is said, I'll react to it. I'm not going to pretend I didn't hear it. But then some of the questions, some of the questions were just a little flat. And I felt like it was on me to make sure that the segment, what they were going for was that it had a very risky, unpredictable feel to it. And I felt like this doesn't have this vibe. As I was out there, I was like, this doesn't have these vibe. These questions are too sterile. So I felt like it was upon me. It was incumbent upon me to sort of make it controversial. And the fact that we're talking about it now, all this time later, I hate to say I was right, but I kind of think I was right to do it, even though I got chewed out for it or whatever it was. I mean, we're still talking about it all this time later. So, I mean, mission accomplished. And I shed a little tear just thinking about what the electric chair could have been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that could have been super exciting. Really unpredictable questions from the fans, and you really don't know what's coming.
And number 1, Triple H calls AEW a pisson company during the Hall of Fame. The 2019 Hall of Fame induction ceremony had a lot of talking points, but without a doubt, the biggest talking point was when Triple H referenced to AEW as a peasant company. The remark came during DX's induction speech. AEW talent Billy Gunn joked around, saying that he didn't have to thank Vince McMahon because Vince could not fire him. Triple H then responded by saying,
well, hold on, let's be honest, he will buy that pissant company just to fire you again.
Shawn Michaels would then chime in by saying, you can always count on old Billy Gunn to overpromise and underdeliver. Well, we appreciate you being out here and being all in. Cody Rhodes would eventually address Triple H's remark by stating, you mean to tell me that some peasant bodybuilder making every match a no DQ, meandering around the crowd, throwing the jib cam at his opponent compares with a Kenny and Okada match? However, it wasn't just Cody who responded to Triple H. WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross also responded to Triple H by saying, that shouldn't surprise you. It tells me that they are aware of AEW very prominently, even though they would not want to admit it. Triple H called us early on a peasant organization or something like that. This peasant organization is beating NXT, and we beat them soundly last week. Anyways, that is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. On the screen right now are some other videos that you should check out. So if you have some free time, go ahead and click one of them. I will see you all in the next video.